Hello, my name is Ayala Connell and I'm a paleo and gluten-free chef and food blogger. This is an episode of Simply Paleo, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make quick pickles and quick pickled red onions. And it's an awesome treat. It can be a complement to a dinner or a lunch. You can put it on a salad, on a burger, and it can also just be a late night sneak attack from the refrigerator. But I want to show you how simple the recipe is and how nutritious really you could use some of these ingredients. So what I'm doing is I have to prep everything. I have to prep the vegetables, and I also have to prep the pickling liquid. So let's start with the cucumbers. And this is going to be the quick pickle recipe, and I love this recipe because it's really healthy. It incorporates apple cider vinegar, which is so good for the body. So what I've done is I've gotten some small cucumbers. You can definitely get pickling cucumbers, or you could just get Persian cucumbers or mini cucumbers. And what you want to do is cut the ends off and discard them. There's some people that believe that the ends of the cucumber have some enzymes that help sort of break it down quicker. So if you want to just stay crisper, then you want to cut that off. And then what you're going to do is you're going to cut it into chunks. Now you can also do this as spears, but I typically make this as a snack for my kiddos also, and they really like it as pickle chips. So you cut it into pickle chips. And you see here I've got a bowl of them. And I'll give you a little bit of a secret that I learned. The best way to make your pickles, pickle spears or pickle chips, super extra crunchy is to salt them for a couple hours. So what I would do is I would take these pickles and I would take a couple of teaspoons of salt, so let's say 2 teaspoons, and I typically use sea salt in my kitchen. I really don't have any regular salt because sea salt has so many minerals and you really don't have to worry about that sodium issue. We're going to just stir this pickling liquid a little bit before I explain what's in it. Okay, so what I would do is I would take 2 teaspoons of the sea salt, and it's forgiving, so you do not have to be exact, and you're going to douse the pickles, or the cucumbers, in the salt. And then what you want to do after they're well mixed is put them in a colander over a bowl or over a plate, and maybe cover them with saran wrap, and just let them sit out with the salt at room temperature for 1 to 2 hours. And what you'll find when you come back and revisit is that the plate or the bowl will have a lot of liquid in it, because cucumbers have a lot of liquid in them. And so what happens is it's drawing the moisture out. The salt is doing that. So then what's left is a much crisper vegetable. And then what you can do is you can take them in the colander and just rinse them out lightly to get some of the salt and excess liquid off, and then you have your cucumbers ready for the pickling liquid. Now, we're not going to do that with these in absence of time, but I did do that with the pickles that we're going to try after the end of the lesson here. So now what you need to do is get the rest of your ingredients going. So I've also taken some fresh dill, which is so fragrant, and I've washed it and I've chopped some of it. Now, I don't typically eat the dill necessarily, but it gives it such a beautiful fresh flavor to the pickles that it's wonderful to add into the pickling. So what you're going to do is you're going to put the pickles that have been salted and drained and the dill in a container that's large enough to hold everything. And then you're going to make your pickling liquid. Now, what I've done is I've taken 1.5 cups of apple cider vinegar. Now, there's a lot of different kinds out there, but the type that I love is the raw kind that has what's called the mother in it, which is essentially this filtrate that is so rich in probiotics. It's essentially a natural culture. And so what I generally do is I shake it and then I use that as my vinegar, and it is so nutritious, and it really helps to create a healthier microbiome in your body and also a healthier acid-base balance in your gut, which is really important. So then I'm going to put that in, and then I'm going to put 1/4 cup of honey. Now, I generally use raw local honey for everything in the kitchen because it has so many wonderful properties to it in helping with allergies and inflammation. Now, if you are diabetic or pre-diabetic or dealing with insulin resistance, then definitely you want to modulate, but this is not a ton. And so you take 1/4 cup of honey, and then you add in 4 teaspoons of sea salt, and also you're going to take a teaspoon of mustard seeds, whole mustard seeds, a teaspoon of whole coriander seeds, and about 3/4 teaspoon of whole dill seeds. And they're so fragrant. And you're going to add them into the pickling liquid. And you're going to add 2 cups of water, and then you're going to put it on the stove, and you're going to bring it to a boil so that the honey and the salt is dissolved, and then you're going to let it cool slightly, and then you're just going to take it and you're going to pour it over the cucumbers. As simple as that. And then you're going to do, what I typically do is I take a ceramic plate that's not very big, and I submerge it over the cucumbers to keep them under the water level so that they are entirely submerged, and then I cover it and I put it in the refrigerator overnight. And then the next day the pickles are ready to enjoy, although really you can keep them in the fridge for up to a couple of weeks and they still just get more and more pickled and so delicious. But essentially that's the recipe. So I generally put a plate over this and I'll submerge the pickles, or the cucumbers that soon will be pickles, and I'll put them in the fridge covered for 24 hours or even 12 to 24 hours, and then you can enjoy them, and you can actually take the mixture and pour it into a mason jar or some type of enclosed container. I probably would avoid plastic, but maybe a glass container, and then you can just enjoy your pickles with anything, whether it's burgers, whether it's just a side treat to put on an open-faced sandwich with some turkey and mustard. It's delicious. So we will try the pickles after we're done explaining the red onion pickled recipe. So it's a very similar recipe, but different types of vinegar and not all the same seasoning. So essentially what I've done is I've taken a red onion, which is beautiful on its own raw because it's so red and purpley. And so you see here what I've done is I've cut half moons through it, but you can also do round circles, which is what I did with the batch we're going to try in a bit. And you're going to put it in a mason jar, and you can also put in a bay leaf in there because it'll help with just bringing out more of a robust flavor. And then in your pot, what you're going to do is you're going to put in 3/4 cups of red wine vinegar, which is very fragrant, and you're going to do 1/4 cup of honey, again in this recipe as well. Now a lot of these traditional pickled vegetable recipes call for sugar, but I generally avoid sugar because the body has a very hard time of processing refined and processed sugars, and so I'll typically use honey in these types of recipes because it's just as easy to dissolve it. And then you're going to put in 1½ teaspoons of salt. And again, I generally use sea salt, which is pretty simple to do and to find in most stores today. And then I'm going to do 3/4 cups of crushed black peppercorns, which are very easy to find in any grocery store. And I'm going to put them in a pot, and I'm just going to bring it to a boil so that the salt and the honey dissolve and the flavors get to incorporate a little bit. And then I take it off and I'm going to pour it over the onion and bay leaf mixture. Now, the container that I use this time is larger, so you can double the recipe, but in a smaller container, if you shove the onions down, it's easier to keep them submerged under the water line. So again, you leave this in the fridge overnight, and then you can enjoy them the next day. So let's do a try with the ones that we've already made. Okay, so let's try the pickles first. So you can see here that there's all the seeds in there, the mustard seeds, the coriander seeds, the dill seeds, and they no longer have that bluey green cucumber look, but they're now miraculously pickle green. So we'll just try it. Super tangy, but the thing that you get immediately from it is how crunchy it is, because I salted these for a couple of hours before I used them in the recipe. So yummy. So the pickles are a perfect recipe. Perfect to put into, on burgers, or you can chop them up small and put them into an egg salad, or into tuna salad or chicken salad to give it a little bit of that tangy, robust flavor, and also, again, a late night snack. So here we have the beautiful, beautiful rosy red pickled red onion recipe. And with this one, you can see that I did whole circles of the onion, and it's a smaller container, so it's easier to be able to place them down in this way. If you have a smaller container, it's easier to do the whole rings because you can really compress them more. And then the same amount of liquid in that recipe is what you would use in this one. And so you can see also there's the bay leaf in there, and you can see all the peppercorns also. So let's take out one and give it a try. You can see how beautifully pink it is. It's crunchy, but you've already lost a lot of that raw onion flavor. Now you have that beautiful, tangy red wine vinegar peppercorn flavor. It's really deliciously pickled and so fragrant. So I hope you enjoy these recipes, and I hope you make them for your family meals and dinner parties. It's such a quick recipe. You just have to think a little bit ahead of time, so you can salt your pickles, and you can make this, you know, before the night, so you can leave it in the fridge overnight, so they're just deliciously perfect for the next day. So I hope this is a helpful recipe, and please visit my blog at simplypaleo.com to get more recipes on how to eat and bake and cook paleo and gluten-free. And as always, feel free to email me at ayellatconnell@gmail.com or visit my website at simplypaleo.com with any wish lists for things that you'd love to be able to eat but haven't been able to eat before because conventionally they use things that you just can't tolerate. And thank you for joining.